Yourself in the center of your mat. Crisscross applesauce, or however is comfortable to sit for you. We're going to start with just a couple of breaths, noticing the breath breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Filling up the lungs completely, allowing them to empty. Removing any thoughts of the events past or the events to come, focusing on you and the mat. Let's go ahead and draw a circle with the crown of our head, dropping our ear to our shoulder, our chin to our chest, and all the way around the back. And let's go the opposite direction also. Very nice. Bring that rotation to a stop. Let's reach and extend our hands all the way up into the air, reaching all the way through the ceiling, sitting up on top of those hips, straightening out that spine. We'll bring a set of fingertips to the ground, and we'll take our hands lightly to the side of our head. Pull your ear down toward your shoulder to get a stretch into the side of the neck. Let's release that stretch, lifting the hands all the way up into the air, straightening out that spine. Once again, let's do the same thing on the opposite side, taking our fingertips to the ground and taking our hands to the side of our head, bringing the ear down toward the shoulder. Let's release that stretch as well. Both sets of fingertips on the ground right next to us. We're going to turn our head right and left as far as we can toward our shoulder one direction and then the opposite way, loosening all of the muscles that are tight in there. Still keeping the breath nice and long, filling up the lungs completely, allowing the rib cage to expand. Let's nod our head up and down, bringing our chin nice and high and then tucking it into our chest. Bring that movement to a stop. Go ahead and bring your hands right back to your lap. Close your eyes. A few more deep breaths here. Noticing and observing the breath, starting to make it nice and long to get all the oxygen that you need into every single muscle. Let's start to creep our hands slightly forward, right over our lap. Extending the hands up toward the top of the mat, getting a good stretch into the low back. You can drop your ears in between your arms to keep your neck in line. Let's take both of our hands over to the right side. Feeling more of a stretch into the side of the body, still leaving the hips connected to the ground. A few deep breaths here. And let's go to the other side as well, taking both of our hands all the way to the other side, feeling that stretch down the side of the body, keeping the hips connected, feeling the rib cage expand and contract underneath us as we get all of the oxygen that we need to revitalize and rejuvenate the muscles. Let's return to center one more time, a little bit deeper into the stretch than the first time. Drop your head in between your arms to keep your neck in line. Let's roll ourselves back to a nice sitting position, one vertebrae at a time. We'll reach and extend our hands all the way into the air. Inhaling as we lift and as we hinge to one side, we exhale and place our forearm onto the ground. Reaching to the other side of the room, you can lift the chest, bringing it all the way up and toward the sky as you get a stretch down the side of the body. Beautiful. Let's come back to the center. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Let's go all the way over, placing the forearm onto the ground, reaching and stretching, turning and lifting that chest all the way up into the air. Be sure to keep that hip glued to the ground to get the best stretch possible down the side of the body. Let's return to the center, extending the hands all the way up into the air. Open up the chest, chin up, shoulders down and back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Be big, be bold, be loud. Take up lots and lots of space. Let's bring our hands right back to our lap. Go back to observing that breath. Rolling the shoulders away from the ears. Big deep breaths here. Very nice. Join me in the center of your mat. We're going to stack our joints right underneath each other. So we have our hands right underneath our shoulders. We have our knees about hip width apart. I think I've lost my microphone. So we'll drop the belly button down, shoulders away from the ears, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Now let's get into scaredy cat pose, rounding the back, tucking in the chin, squeezing the shoulder blades nice and high. Let's do that again, dropping the shoulder blades back and down, chin forward, chest down toward the mat. And rounding the back, tucking in the chin, bringing the chin nice and close to you. Pressing through the palms. Let's flatten that back out. Sink back to a child's pose, a little resting posture, extending the hands all the way up toward the top of the mat. Let's see, turn this down just a hair so you can hear me a little bit better. Sinking all the way back toward the heels in our resting posture. I knew my mic would die today. Very nice. Let's return to all fours, stacking the joints right underneath each other. We're going to spend some time stretching out the wrists. So I like you to flex your fingertips back toward you. On one hand, you can rock on the top of that hand, putting a little bit of weight into the forearms. Stretching out of those muscles and tendons that are down in there. And let's switch. Let's do the same thing on the opposite side, taking our hand, flexing our fingertips back toward us. Rocking forward and back. Very nice. Let's bring our palms flat against the mat. So now I'd like you to flip your fingertips back toward you as much as you can. It depends on your flexibility, how much you're able to bring your fingertips back toward you. Just do what's comfortable. Don't do what's painful. Rock forward and back. Getting a good stretch all the way down through the forearms. Really dig your fingertips down into the mat to get a good stretch into the wrists. Very nice. Let's bring our fingertips back toward the front. Sink it back into another child's pose. Let's return ourselves to all fours. So we're going to go ahead and stretch out our low back muscles. So let's go ahead and straighten out one hand all the way up into the air, getting into the chest, and we're going to thread the needle. So take this hand, swing it all the way through, placing your shoulder to the ground, extending your hand toward the top of the mat. If you'd like, you can take the fingertips all the way up toward the ceiling to get a good stretch into the middle of the back. The hand that you have extended, let's bring it all the way down. Use it to press yourself all the way back up. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Let's reach our hand all the way up into the air. We're going to swing it through this hole we've created, bringing the shoulder all the way down to the ground. Extend your hand toward the top of the mat. If you'd like a little more, you can take that hand all the way up toward the ceiling. The hand that you have extended, bring it down toward the mat. Use it to press yourself all the way back up and come all the way down to the mat, leaving the soles of your feet together behind you. Stacking your hands right underneath your chin. We're going to use this opportunity to loosen up some of the muscles that are into the inner thighs. So lift and lower the feet as low as you can, then bring them right back up. Your speed, not mine. Using the ground as a means to release a little bit of the pressure that is in between the hips. Very nice. Let's bring our knees together. We're going to go for a scorpion pose. So we're going to stretch out our back. So this is what's going to happen. Extend your feet along the length of the mat. Straighten out one arm. You're going to bend the opposite leg. You're going to take the sole of this foot and plant it on the other side of your extended leg. Let's hold it here for a second. You should feel a stretch in the middle of your back. Let's roll ourselves back to the center. Switch your arms, switch your feet, roll it on over. Very nice. Return yourself back to the center. I'd like you to place your fingertips right next to you. You have your palms right next to your armpits. You're going to press back just to the top of your belly button for a nice Cobra Pose. So we're warming up those low back muscles. Try not to cup the hands. Leave them nice and flat onto the ground, only lifting about halfway. A few deep breaths here. Let's bring our chest all the way down to the ground. We'll dig our toes in. Let's spike our hips all the way up into our first downward facing dog of the day. So while we're here, let's paddle our heels right and left, pressing the heels down toward the mat, getting a good stretch into the back of our legs. Separate the feet and press both heels down at the same time. Very nice. Let's tippy toe all the way up toward our wrists, softening through the spine so we arrive in a nice forward fold. Let's leave it here for a second, feeling that good stretch into the back of the legs. You can go elbow to elbow into ragdoll if that's what feels good. Keep that gaze through the back of your legs to keep your neck in line. Let's lightly place our fingertips onto the mat. Bring your toes together. We'll sweep our hands all the way up into the air, touching our palms together at the top. Let's exhale as we bring our hands to a T. We're going to hinge at the waist and turn to one side. Getting a good rotation into the spine. Return back to the center. Inhaling, lifting your hands all the way into the air. As you exhale, return those arms to a T. Let's do the same thing the opposite side, rotating at the waist. Very nice. Let's come back to the center. Inhaling as we lift our hands all the way up into the air. This time we'll cactus the arms, making 90-degree angles with our elbows, pressing the hips forward. Glutes are nice and strong. Feeling that good stretch into the low back. Let the eyes go all the way to the back of the room, beyond your flexibility. A few breaths here. Let's inhale, lifting the hands all the way into the air. We'll exhale, diving in over the toes, setting up a sun salutation. We'll inhale, flattening out that back, bringing our fingertips to the shins. Let's exhale, coming all the way down to the mat, stepping one foot and then the other back to a high plank. Let's hold this position just for a second, feeling our strength underneath us as we distribute our weight evenly between our palms and our toes. Let's chaturanga down to the mat, elbows nice and close, tuck those toes under. This time, let's go for an up dog. So let's fully straighten those arms out. You can come all the way to the tops of the feet, or you can have your shins connected to the ground, whatever works for you. But feel that stretch into the low back. Really try to press the pelvis down toward the mat to get a good stretch. You can lift the chin all the way back as well. Let's look over one shoulder. And let's look over the opposite shoulder as well. Let's come back to the center, lifting the chin nice and high. Get a little deeper into that stretch. Nice long, big, deep breaths as always. Keeping the chin nice and forward. Shoulders away from the ears. From here, let's sink back to a child's pose. Coming briefly back to all fours. Let's take one foot forward so that we're just taking a knee. We're going to do a few low body sort of hip stretchers as we go forward in our practice today. So let's just start with a nice low lunge. You're going to go ahead and lean that weight toward the front toe, but rock your knee towards your pinky toe to feel a stretch into the top of your legs. You can lift your hands all the way up into the air if that's what feels good. Placing a little bit of more weight at the top half of the body. Let's hold this stretch just for a few seconds. From here, I'd like you to place one of your hands right next to your big toe. Your other hand, turn that upper body and lift all the way up toward the ceiling. Get a good stretch into the top half of the body while you're getting a stretch into the hip. Let's return ourselves back to the center, extending the hands all the way into the air. You can go ahead and let them fall to your sides. We're going to set up for our lizard stretch. So let's take both of our hands and place them right next to our big toe. If that feels good, go ahead and rock that knee open. And that still feels good, you can come all the way down to the forearms. Try to get yourself in the best body position possible to get the best stretch. You should feel this in the top of your hips. Let's roll our knee back to the center. Let's come all the way back up onto our palms. We're going to go for our pigeon stretch since we're halfway there. So let's go ahead and bring our ankle a little bit closer to our wrist, extending the leg back behind us onto the mat. You can hinge forward as much as you'd like. Let's come to sit up on top of those hips. The leg that you have behind you, swing it all the way around. You can use that opposite arm to give that knee a hug. Use your hand behind you to press yourself up to a nice, strong, straight back. And go ahead and look over your back shoulder. You should feel a stretch into the mid-back and also into the hip. Let's go ahead and unwind ourselves. Returning to all fours in the center of the mat. We'll dig our toes in, spike the hips up. Let's tippy toe all the way up toward our toes. So we're back into a forward fold. Should be a little bit deeper than the time before. This time, let's go ahead and bend the knees in this posture, then straighten them. Let's bend the knees once more and straighten them. We can go for a bind while we're down here. Bring the toes a little more together. We can take our arms right behind our kneecaps, bending the knees if necessary. Go ahead and take that gaze through the back of your legs to keep your neck in line. Try to get a good stretch into the back of your legs. Let's place our fingertips onto the mat in front of us. We're going to sit down into chair pose, Utkatasana, as we sit. Nice and strong through the heels. We're going to go for a spine rotation while we're here. Let's bring those palms together, sink it down just a little bit lower. You can take an elbow and cross it over the lap. Try to bring your chest right in the center of those fingertips. Let's rotate back to the front. Lift the hands all the way up into the air. Separate them on the top. Let's do the same thing on the opposite side. Bringing those palms together, coming all the way down the elevator. We'll twist the opposite way. Taking this elbow, lightly placing it onto the lap. Bring that chest all the way to the center of those fingertips. Let's hold this for a few seconds. Beautiful. Let's rotate back to the front, lifting the hands all the way up into the air, separating onto the top, setting up our sun salutation. Let's dive in over the toes. Inhaling, bringing our fingertips to our shins. We'll exhale and come all the way down to the mat, softening through the spine, stepping one foot back, and then the other, arriving in our high plank. Let's hold this just for a second. Chaturanga all the way down to the mat, elbows nice and close, tucking the toes under. Let's press back into up dog, getting that good stretch into the low back. From here, let's dig the toes in, spike the hips up into downward facing dog. Hips to the sky, we have our ears right in between those arms. Getting all the circulation to move to all parts of the body. Let's bring our knees all the way down, sink it back for a child's pose. let's return briefly to all fours. We'll do all the same stretches on this side as we did on the opposite side. So whatever side you didn't work, let's go to that side this time. So we start with just rocking the hips down all the way toward the mat so that we are into our low lunge position. From here, you can reach and extend the hands all the way up into the air, pressing down through the hips toward the ground to get a good stretch. From here, let's take one of our hands and place it right next to our big toe. Get a rotation into the trunk, as well as a stretch to the top of the hips. Beautiful. Rock back onto that supporting leg. We'll set up for our lizard stretch as well. Let's take both of our hands right next to our big toe. Go ahead and open up the hip by leaning the knee out. We'll go ahead and come all the way down to the forearms if that's what feels good as well. Let's come back up onto our palms. We'll go ahead and go for our pigeon stretch since we're halfway there, bringing our wrist toward our ankle, extending the leg back behind us. Go ahead and hinge forward as much as you like. Up on top of the hips, the leg that you have behind you. Let's swing it all the way around. Go ahead and use that opposite arm to give your knee a hug. You're going to sit up on top of those hips, straightening out that spine. Look over your shoulders behind you. Go ahead and unwind yourselves. Let's go ahead and bring the soles of our feet together, letting the knees drop open for a nice butterfly stretch. You can bring your heels as close to you as you can, lifting the pinky toes up toward you. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Let's extend one foot out in front. Bring the sole of your other foot right next to your inner thigh. Reach for your calf, your ankle, the bottom of the foot, whatever it is that is available to you to get a good stretch into the back of your legs. And let's switch. Let's do the same thing on the opposite side. Bending one leg in toward our inner thigh, rocking that knee open. You can reach for your calf, your ankle, the bottom of the foot, whatever works for you to get a stretch into the back of your legs. Very nice. We'll do a few stretches on our back before we close our practice today. Turn my mat just a little bit. Let's come all the way onto our back, rolling ourselves nice and evenly onto the ground. Knees in toward the chest, rocking side to side, using the ground as a means to release some of the pressure that is into our back. From here, we can cross at the ankles, placing our hands on the top of our feet. For shoelaces pose, really letting the small of the back connect to the ground. Extend one leg along the length of the mat. Interlace your fingers over your shin. Flex those toes back. Let's go ahead and bring the knee a little off center, avoiding the rib cage, getting a stretch into the hip. The leg that you have bent, take it all the way across your body. Take your arms out to a T. Turn your head the opposite direction of your bent leg. Let's roll ourselves back to the center, extending our toes all the way up into the air for a waterfall, placing our hands onto the mat. Tilt your waterfall, bringing the heels all the way up into the air, getting a good intense stretch into the back of the legs. Let's lower the opposite heel all the way down to the ground. Bend the opposite knee, interlace your fingers over the shin. Pull everything toward you, avoiding the rib cage. Get a good stretch into the hip. The leg that you have bent, let's take it all the way across the body. Take the arms out to a T. Turn your head the opposite direction of your bent leg. Let's roll ourselves back to the center. Let's go for an end-to-end full body stretch, stretching all the way along the length of the mat. Arch the back along the ground, flatten it out, wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Feel yourself connect to the ground. Go ahead and bring the soles of your feet together, letting your knees drop toward the edges of the mat. You can bring your hands to your belly. A few deep breaths here. Extend your feet along the length of the mat. Let your toes drop toward the corners of the mat. Knuckles to the ground, palms to the sky. A few seconds in Savasana before we close our practice today. A few deep breaths here. Start to find a little life into the body. Wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Go for another full body stretch if that's what feels good. And then join me in the center of your mat, crisscross applesauce, or however you like to sit. Rolling the shoulders away from the ears. A few more stretches before we end our practice today. Let's go ahead and reach the hands all the way up into the air. A set of fingertips in front and a set behind. Look over your shoulder behind you. And let's return to the center, reaching the hands all the way up into the air. Let's take both sets of fingertips behind us, really pressing the hips forward, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And once more, reaching the hands all the way up into the air. Set of fingertips in front and a set behind. Look over your shoulder behind you. Very nice. Let's inhale, reaching the hands all the way up into the air. Exhale, bring those palms down in front of you. Inhale, push away. And exhale, place them on your lap. We are all done today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you have a fantastic Saturday.